أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحابه ومن اهتدى بهداه إلى يوم الدين. فإن خير الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. ربي لا تؤاخذني مما يقولون واغفر لي ما لا يعلمون واجعلني خيرا مما يظنون. Bad. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Welcome to the House of Dua and welcome to our continuing conversation on matters relating to the Hajj. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, I'm sure many of you who are preparing to perform this year's Hajj are ready to do so. We are now in the month of Dhul Qa'dah. إن عدة شهور عند الله 12 شهرا في كتاب الله يوم خلق السماوات والأرض منها 4 حرم. Allah Akbar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says the number of months established by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from day one of creation are 12 in number, and out of these 12, 4 are sacred. The 4 that are sacred are the month of Rajab, the month of Dhul Qa'dah, the month of Dhul Hijjah, and the month of Muharram. These are sacred months. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, whenever any of these months comes on, La tazlimu fihinna anfusakum. Do not wrong yourselves. Do not commit sinfulness against yourself. Do not do something that will make Allah be angry with you. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, the month of Dhul Qa'dah is part of the seasons of the Hajj. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Al-Hajju ashhurun ma'lumat. The Hajj is for a definite number of months. It takes place in a season beginning from the month of Shawwal through the month of Dhul Qa'dah to the month of Dhul Hijjah. Now we're in the month of Dhul Qa'dah. Preparation for the Hajj is now at top gear. Those of us who are performing the Hajj, therefore, this year, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant you Hajj Mabrur. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, this is the time for us to remind ourselves of the significance of this very, very important pillar of Islam. Many of us do whatever we like when we come to worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At the end of the day, we find ourselves doing that which we are not allowed to do, thereby jeopardizing our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Hajj is no exception. The Hajj is a significant pillar of Islam. Even though it's the last pillar, it's as important as the other pillars of Islam. Therefore, we must pay attention to the performance of the Hajj. Today, we want to draw attention to the issue of funding the Hajj. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the performance of the Hajj contingent upon your ability to do so. And that your ability is divided into 2. Your ability to pay your way to performing the Hajj, and your ability to withstand the rigors of the Hajj. These are very important considerations when it comes to performing the Hajj. That is why if you are so weak or old or sick that you are not able to perform the Hajj, you have no problem. That is why if you are so poor that you don't have the financial ability to pay your way towards the Hajj, you also have no problem. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, visiting the house of Allah is an obligation upon the entire mankind, those who can afford to do so, those who have the capability to go for the Hajj. Capability based on your ability to withstand the rigors of the Hajj and your financial ability to pay your way to performing the Hajj. This is very important, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want to impose any burden upon us beyond our capacities. when it comes to the idea of what you can afford to do when it comes to the issue of Hajj. Remember, as I said, if you are not capable to perform the Hajj and you die, you have not committed sin. If all the other 4 pillars of Islam are correct for you, except the Hajj, and you couldn't perform that Hajj because you didn't have the means to do so and you didn't have the ability to do so, then of course, you have not committed any offense. But because the Hajj is of so much significance, not only is it an act of ibadah, but in today's life, we take it as a status symbol. There are many countries in the world where somebody who has performed the Hajj is assigned a title known as Al-Hajj, that is, the one who has visited the house of Allah. It's a status symbol. Such people are given some special respect, some special consideration in the gathering of many people. This is why many people aspire to perform the Hajj. But again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, it's not obligatory upon you if you cannot afford to do so. But it's obligatory upon you if you can afford to perform the Hajj. There are people who have the ability to perform the Hajj. They have the means, they have the vigor to perform the Hajj, but they refuse to do so. They keep on deferring into the future, and they have no control over the future. If such person should die, then of course, he has a question to answer before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's a serious violation. But on the other hand, you don't have the ability to perform the Hajj, there's no problem for you. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it man istata'a ilayhi sabila. It's contingent upon those who are able to do so. Now, talking about ability to perform the Hajj, the question I have for you today is, what is your source of funds for performing the Hajj? This issue is of highest significance. The reason is that in Islam, you don't use wrong to achieve right. You don't use the impure to achieve that which is pure. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, La yastawil khabithu wal tayyib, wala ajabaka kasratun khabith. That which is pure and that which is not pure are not the same. No matter how amazing the one that is not pure may seem to be. Therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will want us to worship Him in the most pure manner. That's why when it comes to Salat, we are expected to purify our body, purify our clothing, purify our place of worship. That's why when we are fasting in the month of Ramadan, we are expected to fast and stay away from sinfulness and do the fast to the best of our ability using resources that are tayyib, that are good, that are pure. That is why when we are talking about zakah, we are expected to pay zakah out of our legitimate income that is derived from pure sources. In today's life, people do whatever they like. There are people who derive their income from impure sources, thinking that when they now take zakah out of it, they have pleased Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, you have not pleased Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah will not accept that which is not pure. The same thing with coming to perform the Hajj. There are people who procure resources from dubious means in order to perform the Hajj, just because they think that is the best way to please Allah, or that they're going to get the opportunity to visit the house of Allah. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has nothing to do with that which is not pure. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, nowadays we are familiar with this word, sponsor. Either the government is sponsoring people to perform the Hajj, or individual is sponsoring some people to perform the Hajj, or a child is sponsoring his or her parents to perform the Hajj, or a brother is helping his brother or sister to perform the Hajj. Yes, ordinarily there is nothing wrong with all this, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَتَعَوَّنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَوَّنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. Help each other to achieve al-bir, righteousness, goodness in the society, especially in relation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, acts of worship. Help each other to achieve goodness in the act of worship, but don't help each other in achieving sinfulness. Don't aid and abet any person in committing a sin or doing what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says should not be done. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, when it comes to funding, therefore, there are certain things that we need to bear in mind. You who wants to perform the Hajj, it is your responsibility to make sure that the funds with which you want to pay your way to the Hajj are derived from lawful means. It's even better if you are the one who work hard to make that money out of legitimate means. But nowadays, there are so many things that are illegitimate, so many things that are unlawful. They are dubious and at best sinful. Therefore, we must be careful when we are making the intention to perform the Hajj with resources that are derived from sinful processes. There are people who engage in all kinds of criminalities, kidnapping and abduction, armed robbery, corruption in public places, all kinds of dubious means, unlawful investments, investment in things that are prohibited by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are many of us who derive our income from such sources, and we end up using such income to pay our way to perform the Hajj. It's better you give space to somebody else to perform the Hajj than for you to waste your time using such resources to go and perform the Hajj. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, this is an issue that many of us don't draw attention to because all we hear is, oh yeah, that person is going to perform the Hajj. But with what means? What is your source of income? Show it to me. Let us know what your source of income is. Although you are not accountable to us, you are accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You may even be able to deceive us and make us believe that your source of income is legitimate, but you cannot deceive Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why this issue is very important, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. For those of you, therefore, who sponsor people to go to Hajj, we use this opportunity to challenge you to make sure that your sources of income are legitimate. Imagine a political leader, for example, who want to sponsor about 10 or 15 people to go and perform the Hajj. And that's a political leader who stole public money. The money he has stolen is using it to sponsor people to go to Hajj. That's at best self-aggrandizement. Show off. There's no reward for him for that. There's no reward for him for that. What of somebody who has gone into kidnapping and abduction of innocent people and deriving millions of dollars or naira or pound sterling from it? Turn around and say, you know what, I want to pay for 20 people to go to Hajj. Yes, that's nothing but self-aggrandizement. It does not please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, this is very important. What about somebody who invests in what is prohibited by Allah? Production and distribution and sale of alcohol, for example. Or a person who derives his income from taking riba, things that are prohibited by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you want to turn around and use such money to perform the Hajj? No. No. Inna Allah tayyibun la yaqbalu illa tayyib. Allah is pure. He does not accept that which is not pure. That's what the Prophet told us in the hadith narrated by Abu Hurairah and some other people. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, let's not deceive ourselves. Those of you who are going to perform the Hajj, the fundamental question you need to ask first is my source of performing the Hajj legitimate? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Al-Hajju ashhurun ma'lumat. Faman farada fihinna al-hajja fala rafatha wala fusuka wala jidala fil hajji. وَمَا تَفْعَلُوا مِنْ خَيْرٍ يَعْلَمُهُ اللَّهُ وَتَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى وَاتَّقُونِ يَا أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. Allahu Akbar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says at the tail end of that verse, Allah says, وَتَزَوَّدُوا. When you want to perform the Hajj, make provision for your journey. Make provision. In other words, make arrangement to pay your way towards performing the Hajj. Make arrangement for your physical fitness. Make arrangement for the family you are leaving behind. Making sure that all your income for these goals, for these activities are genuine, are legitimate. This is very important. It's not sufficient for you to go to Hajj and come back like somebody who has not performed the Hajj. Not surprising, therefore, that nowadays you see people go to perform the Hajj, they come back, their character grows from bad to worse. They become the worst example of a Muslim. Why? Because they just went on self-aggrandizement. They didn't achieve anything by the performance of the Hajj. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, make provision, but find out khayra zad at taqwa. The best provision you need to make to perform the Hajj is taqwa, fear of Allah. Is the income you are using to perform the Hajj derived from lawful means out of fear of Allah? If not, don't waste other people's time, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, and don't waste your own time. Don't waste your own time. Islam is not a religion of self-aggrandizement. Islam is not a religion of self-will. It's a religion that is dictated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You do what pleases Him, not what pleases yourself. Some years ago, a brother came to me and said, I have money, and this money is from a very dubious means or source, but I want to use the money to pay for people to go and perform the Hajj. Will I get reward from that performance? I told him, no, you will not get reward from that performance of the Hajj because your source of income is not genuine. He was thinking that by so doing, that will in the end purify his income. I said that will not purify your income. You have derived your income from a very illegitimate source. First of all, you owe istighfar to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you need to give up that income for public good. It's of no benefit to you. There's nothing you're going to do with it that will be of benefit. He didn't feel happy about it, but that was the truth of the situation. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, you who is about to perform the Hajj, if somebody pay for you to go and perform the Hajj, and you didn't know whether that person derived that income from illegitimate source, from sinful source, you don't have problem. You have no idea. You have no knowledge. Allah will not hold you accountable for that for which you have no knowledge. No. But if you are aware that that person who pays for your Hajj, your son or your daughter, or the political leader of your community, or another person of sort paid for your Hajj from income that you know are derived from unlawful sources, be sure that your Hajj will not have any validity. This is the truth of the matter. Therefore, I encourage you to first of all probe into the source of your income to perform the Hajj before you ever step out to go and perform the Hajj. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Islam is not a religion of chance. It's a religion of knowledge. It's a religion of what pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, let's try as much as possible to do it in the best manner. As we have already indicated, once you have been able to derive the necessary income for you to perform the Hajj, then let the fear of Allah be uppermost in your mind from the beginning of your journey towards performing the Hajj until the end of your journey towards performing the Hajj. And beyond that even. That is the essence of a Muslim, fear of Allah. That's why in the last presentation we did, we emphasized what Allah stated in the verses relating to performance of the Hajj. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Wattaqullah, be mindful of Allah. Waskurullah, remember Allah when you are performing the Hajj. Wastaghfirullah, ask for Allah's forgiveness when you are performing the Hajj. These are the ingredients of a successful Hajj. To do otherwise is to nullify your own Hajj. The goal of every one of us, including those of you who are performing the Hajj this year, is to ensure that we perform Hajj that is accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that Hajj is called Hajj al-Mabrur. And that Hajj is Hajj performed according to the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and by the example of Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want you to go and steal to worship Him. Neither does He want you to kill yourself to worship Him. No, He makes things simple for you. That's why He exempts you from performing the Hajj if you don't have the means. That's why He exempts some people from fasting in the month of Ramadan if they fall into certain categories. That's why He also exempts people from paying zakah if they are not rich enough, if they don't meet the threshold for the payment of zakah. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also allows certain category of people among us not to pray if they are under certain conditions, and for them to pay back their salat when it becomes convenient and appropriate for them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so merciful. La yukallifu Allahu nafsan illa wus'aha. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, don't force anybody to take the Shahada. The Shahada is voluntary. Don't force anybody to do what he doesn't want to do. La ikraha fi din. There's no compulsion in religion. There's no compulsion in religion. In all these acts of worship commanded upon us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's no compulsion. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you the freedom to do that which is within your ability. But remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows your ability more than you, therefore you cannot cheat on him. So this reminder is for those of you who are performing the Hajj this year and those who will perform the Hajj in future and those who have actually performed the Hajj before. If you had ever performed the Hajj using dubious means or income that was derived from dubious means, you need to think again to find legitimate means to perform your Hajj. And if you are performing the Hajj this year with income that is not lawful, then of course you need to caution yourself. Ask yourself, do I really want to do this? And if you don't have alternative, then it's better for you not to go and waste your time. But if you have procured your income from lawful sources, pure sources that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has permitted us, then you have to thank Allah who has chosen you to perform this year's Hajj. For such people, we ask Allah to grant you safe passage to the Hajj and back. As I said, the Hajj for this year has become prohibitively expensive. 2-point-something million naira is required to perform the Hajj. I don't know what that is in pound sterling or dollar or euro, but that's a huge amount of money. How many people can afford to pay 2.5 million naira to perform the Hajj in Nigeria, for example? It's a big task. And for people, just because you want to perform the Hajj, you go and rob such money or kidnap people to get such money or go and steal that money from public purse in order to perform the Hajj, then of course, you know you are taking a very, very serious risk. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to lead us into doing that which is right. Take shaitan away from our life and take our life far away from the shaitan. Until I come your way again, inshallah, please always do that which is acceptable to Allah. If you have not paid your zakat, go to the house of dua. There is a way for you to pay zakat. Click on the zakat button and pay zakat. If you can, make donation to the house of dua for children who learn the Quran under the shade, so that we can provide them appropriate place for them to read the Quran. There are children who have no copies of the Quran at all. We are helping them to get the Quran to read. And there are also, people who need your help, especially the orphans. There are over 253 million orphans in the world we live today. If you can help any of them, please don't hesitate. The House of Dua will help you do so. Click on the House of Dua, thehouseofdua.com. Go to the orphanage section or go to helping the children who are reading the Quran under the trees, or go to paying zakat. Whichever one you want to do, just click on the button. The procedure will be there for you. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our ibadah. Take shaitan away from our lives and take our life far away from the shaitan. And remember, the month of Dhul-Qa'dah is one of the noble and sacred months of the year. It's better for us to engage in doing good deeds than to do bad deeds. And remember, going to the Hajj is not the only good deed you can do in this month. There are many other deeds, such as reading the Quran, such as giving out sadaqah, such as helping the poor, such as honoring your parents, such as doing other things that will put a smile on another person's face. Kullu ma'rufin sadaqah. Every act of good deeds that you engage in is an act of sadaqah for you. Allah will reward you. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward us. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. الحمد لله.